Alright, what's up everybody? Today we're going to make some interior trim pieces out of some leftover scrap sheet aluminum. Let's see what we can make out of this. Alright, so without the carpet, you see all the mechanics of the parking brake and just some of that stuff doesn't look great. So I want to come up with something there, as well as the surround for the shifter. There's nothing that's going to be from Toyota that fits where that Porsche shifter box goes. And lastly, I'll put something in here so we can make a block-off plate, and I do want to put some gauges or a electrical cutoff switch there. So let's come up with some templates. So here's what I came up with for the covering the parking brake mechanism. And you can see we're going to use the two mounting locations for the actual parking brake here and one down here. I added this revision for this little block-off plate here as well, just to cover where the cable goes on. And on the back side, I left the flange. I might just put a riv nut in there so I can put that last mounting location. Now up to the shifter, I did come up with a template for that as well. However, this is the foam padding, and then my dash, you can see I've already gotten rid of that, which is a height difference, and it doesn't look the same. So we're also going to have to pull off all this padding and vinyl, and we're going to flock this as well to make it all match. Alright, I got my template transferred over to my sheet aluminum. I'm just going to mention while I'm here, the layout for most of my dimple dies is kind of simple. I first start with finding the center of whatever pattern I'm using. This is my center line here. So I start out with an X to find the center, which you can see here. Mark that mark. And depending on your dimple die, I found specific spacing that I like the best. For my 1.25" dimple die, I use 2-inch spacing. So you'll start from your center and you'll just go 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches in either direction, left and right. In this particular case, you can see without even having to do any more math, I got the same amount of distance towards the end of my actual template. So now we're going to start cutting out. Well, here is the parking brake cover all finished up. Even rolled over the top edge too to give it just a smoother look. So now we can put it in the car and see how it looks. Alright, so there it is, just lightly installed. I'm thinking that looks pretty good. It covers up everything I wanted it to cover up. So now we should move on to the next thing. Well, now that I have this thing all cleaned up, I have different dimensions in here. So my original template no longer works, it's just a little too shallow. So we made a second template, revision 2. It's a little bit wider on either side to make it where the foam is gone. And we've also added the mounting tabs. So we're going to transfer this to aluminum and get it cut out. So here we have our shifter surround cut out, but it's obvious there's no way to mount this in the actual console itself. Now from the OEM factory, they had these push clips in all 4 locations. So I referred to my original template that I had, made some tabs provisions. So I'm going to add the same clip tabs to this. We're going to build a sandwich plate. So this is going to be my lower plate. It's going to clamp in and have the clamps available. We're going to come through with our shift boot, which is going to overlay this. We're then going to come over with our top piece, sandwich over top of the boot. We were able to put rivets surrounding it. So now we're going to build the lower part of the sandwich plate. And here is the lower sandwich plate completed. We're going to put that in there. And then that's going to be topped off with the upper sandwich plate, which we're going to see. So the only next step I want to do is run my bead roller across here to give me this edge, and then we'll cut out these mounting tabs. Alright, now we can see how that rolled edge will line up with our trim panel or center console. See, that runs perfectly between 2 points. So now we're going to remove this excess here. So now we have the center console trim all cut out where the tabs go. Let's see how it fits in the center console. There you go. Pretty good joint, I think. Well, here's the console all cleaned up. Wound up having a big battle getting the foam off of here. The only thing that worked was a wire wheel, and you can see in some places I still have some I have to work off of there. Additionally, this is not plastic, if you can even hear the difference. This is some kind of weird foam, and it's not very strong. And while doing this, I come across this crack that was in here, so I dug that crack out so I can reinforce it with some fiberglass filler. Got too aggressive with the wire wheel here. I made myself a couple divots. And on top of that, an additional crack along the parking brake lever. So unfortunately, you have to come through and do more body filler and the glass filler before we can try and either wrap this or flock this. So back to the fiberglass filler. Been sanded down to just a rough finish with just the fiberglass filler, and you can still see the scrape marks in it. Normally we would never leave it that way. Now because this is that weird material, it's all that really porous, so the only way I think I have around this is to give it a quick coat with that same glue adhesive from the flocking kit, which would be like a self-leveler, and seal all this foam patch, which will either help me put another layer on for the flocking I'm going to put on here, or a good adhesive layer if I try to wrap this in suede. So we're going to cover this now. We've now gotten to the point where I'm going to wrap the center console. I have made the decision to put down a thin layer of this foam padding in between this and this fabric suede that I have. So luckily enough, I think it might help that this stuff is slightly stretchy. And to put all this on, we're going to use our 3M Super 77 spray adhesive. So we're going to get this material cut out and we'll see if we can adhere it to this strange foam plastic. Alright, so this is adhered to this piece of plastic foam really well, so I'm very happy about that. Now we can go underneath and trim out our excess. Alright, on to part two. Now that this is nicely adhered to our center console, it is time to run the adhesive across the suede. And well, here it is, all finished up. Came out really good, and I actually love the way it feels. So let's get this installed and see how it matches against the flocking. Alright, here we are. Everything's installed. Center console, parking brake cover, and shifter surround. And as you can see, there's a slight color difference between the flocking and the suede, but I do think this will hold up better just to the wear and tear of me driving this thing. So unfortunately, I wanted to get a shift boot on here before ending the video, as well as a shift lever or shift knob, but I ran out of time, so got to move on. I'll have to pick it up next time. All right, so there you have it. It's a little bit closer to looking like an interior again. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.